the licensing of landlords and letting agents. Today I'm joined by Marc von Grundherr, who is director at Benham Reeves, big in the game letting agent in London. Marc, talk to me about licensing both landlords and letting agents.
So let's start with letting agents. So I think, let's be honest, I've been in the business now for over 25 years, and it's ridiculous that anybody can do it with no licensing, no training, no nothing, and you can just come up and do whatever you like. You do have to have, the company has to have ALA, some form of client money protection, and there's bits like that. But agents themselves have no qualifications, no nothing. They can just say any old rubbish. And it's ridiculous today to see an industry that employs 1 in 8 people is related to the housing market. And we have no licensing around it. Lawyers are licensed to the hilt. And I think we should have a high bar. Every estate agent, whether that's lettings or sales, should have some form of qualification. It's ridiculous that the UK, a fully developed country, has a market where people are just running around doing whatever they like.
Now Labour in government, we're filming this right at the end of July. They've been in power now for a few weeks. There was nothing in the King's speech about ROPA, although that could be added on to other things. I think my understanding is it's ready to go. What would your message be to agents who like a bit long in the tooth in their 50s saying, oh, I don't want to take exams and things like that?
It's true. I think I know it all, and I think I follow what I do. But I know I don't know it all because people teach me stuff every day. And that's one of the things actually I love about the industry is you learn something new every day. So I think people that say, oh, I've done it for ages, I know what I'm doing. Honestly, is that how little they think of the industry, that they don't think they need to be, someone who's been shooting for 30 years doesn't need to do training with a gun? I mean, it's ridiculous.
One would almost could say that they've worked 1 year 30 times.
Yes. And equally, what about drivers? You don't test someone on their driving test when they get to their, 70, I think it is, they have to retake their driving test. Why would we not want agents to be qualified? Maybe older people don't need, people who've been in the industry 30 years like me, maybe you don't need to have all of the stuff, some of the questions, but everybody should have some form of training. It's not right.
The second thing was the licensing of landlords.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of councils have that selective licensing. What's your thoughts on that?
See, I think selective licensing is, on the one hand, is quite a good idea. But actually, the way it's been done now is about raising money for the councils. None of the rules are the same. Every single form you have from different councils, especially in London, is different. They ask different information, different this, different that. There should be one form that you should fill out, and it should be irrespective of the council. The fee should be the same, irrespective of the council. The enforcement should be the same. The follow-up should be the same. I mean, we have right now, my office is actually in Hammersmith, and I own a flat in a block just in Hammersmith, and the road is on a V shape. The right-hand side of the road, which is where my flat is, no licensing. Left-hand side of the road, the other half of the block needs a license. I mean, what's that about? Either the council have it everywhere, and I think it should be London-wide scheme or UK-wide scheme. Either you have licensing or you don't have licensing, but you can't have this hit and miss. Newham do a very good job, for argument's sake, and yet this council don't, or this. It's ridiculous. Again, comes down to poor organisation and driving of it.
Lots of people say licenses is a good idea as long as it's policed well. And,
yep.
And again, there's some absolute horror stories that it's like a paper tiger. They don't do anything.
They don't. That's again the problem. If you had one system, like they're talking about, one licensing for all landlords, and you had a body and they use that money as opposed to going into the council's pockets, if that money went into a specific fund to license it, that would be brilliant. And again, it's down to how they set it up. And when the civil servants are coming up with these wonderful ideas, if they actually sat down and worked out the nitty-gritty of how it can be abused, how it can be regulated and dealt with properly, I think that would be a huge welcome addition for individuals, people that get taken advantage of in the housing market with unscrupulous landlords. I mean, equally, if I'm honest, on the reverse of licensing for landlords, I think we should have some serious licensing for tenants. Not so every tenant's licensed, but if a tenant is default and evicted, the next landlord should know that. if they've been evicted for non-payment of rent, levying £10,000.
Yes, because landlords aren't very good at taking them to court or getting CCJs, are they?
Because there's no point. If you serve a notice on a tenant and you want him to go and you follow the rules and the tenant is on housing benefit, the citizens' advice will tell you, the council will say, you wait until you're evicted. Costs the landlord money, costs the landlord time, costs the landlord. And the tenant, poor tenant, is told by the council, don't move because we won't house you, which is just nonsense. But I really feel there should be a tenant register. Tenants that have done a bad job, just like the police have. If someone's been convicted, that's there. So why would a tenant doing the same thing against a landlord? I know the proportion of bad tenants is very small. And if you're doing licensing for landlords to show out bad landlords, why would you not show up bad tenants?
Very fair. Mark, thank you for your insight there.
Thank you.